Hi, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is the 6th of August, and we're doing an article on page 16 called The Weird Science of Dogs. Now, it's not often you get to see weird and science next to each other, but here we go.
Yeah, 好，这个 weird 这个字呢是古怪的意思，就是有点怪怪的啊。那这个字通常不会跟 science 放在一起啊，不过我们今天呢把它放在一起啊。那因为我们要谈一些很有趣的一些知识啊，所以我们中文标题是汪星人知识趣，趣是趣味的趣。
Well, let's read the article and find out what this weird science is. Most people would say they are familiar with dogs.As companions and working animals, they have coexisted with humankind for millennia. But there are some weird dog facts that can surprise even the biggest dog lover. To begin with, every dog owner will claim that their pooch is entirely one of a kind. What they may not realize is that their dog can be identified by a total stranger, and it's as plain as the nose on their face. It's actually the nose on their face.As it turns out, each dog's nose print is as unique as a human's fingerprint, and it can be used to positively identify a dog in the same way. In some areas, a dog's nose print can be used to reunite it with its human family if that dog gets lost or separated from its owners.In China, the AI company MEGV allows users to photograph their dogs' noses and upload those pictures to an online database of nose prints that vets can check against a database of lost dogs. Dogs and their habits have even helped humans in unexpected ways. For example, the way dogs shake off water is an incredibly efficient way of removing water from their fur.In long-haired breeds, the movement can cause hairs to accelerate nearly as fast as a whip cracking. A dog can shake off up to 70% of the water on its body in just 4 seconds. The method is so effective that it has been studied by washing machine manufacturers to conceive better ways to dry clothes. The most interesting feature of dogs is probably how much they love us.There's science behind that, too, but it might be better to leave it a wonderful mystery. A wonderful mystery. It's mysterious, but love is mysterious.
的确爱是非常的神秘的很多时候你没有办法解释为什么你这么爱一个人或者这么爱一个东西那狗也是一样。
Now, most people would say they are familiar with dogs because dogs are literally everywhere. And they're not just literally everywhere in physical space. We constantly talk about dogs online, or we show videos of dogs, or if there's a story, there's a dog in it. Like, dogs are literally everywhere in our culture.
没有错，在我们的文化里面呢，狗随处可见那这个就算你自己不养狗，你也看过别人养狗或者我们看到一些狗相关的影片，那非常的多，所以我们对狗大家都蛮了解的。所以这句话他说 most people 大多数的人 would say 记得这个地方是 would， 因为这个虚拟语气他并不是说大多数人马上就会说，或者你料定他们要说这句是要这个事情的，没有他们没有要说这件事情，所以他们如果问他的话，他们会这么说，所以你会讲 would say 所以大多数的人 would say they are familiar with. Be familiar with 就是很熟悉所以大多数人都会说I know about dogs 我知道狗，我懂狗因为我常常看到
As companions and working animals, they have coexisted with humankind for millennia. Companions is a great word to learn. It's just one step below friends. Companions literally means people you break bread with, because come is together and pan means bread. So they're people that you hang out with. And to say that they're friends is taking it one step more and being like, yes, they're people I choose. But companions is a companion-like feeling. It feels comfortable and nice.And they have coexisted with humankind for millennia. They have been living with us. They have been existing next to us for thousands of years.
好，这个 companion come 就是 together， 那个 pan 就是面包的字根的意思啊，就是面包，所以就跟你一起吃面包的人，所以他就是你的同伴哈，他也可以表示陪伴的意思。好，那他同伴的话呢，跟 friend 只差那么一点点而已哈。那所以这个字大家可以把它学起来，很好用的一个字哈。所以狗它是我们的同伴，那也是working animals， 就是他们是工作犬哈，他们是可以帮你做一些事情的啊，像雪橇啊，或者像搜救犬等等的。所以作为同伴，作为工作的这个工作犬，狗 they 就是指狗 have coexisted， 就是 exist together 的意思，就是同时存在，他们跟人类同时存在已经数千年了哈 ，millennia 就是这个好几千年了。
But there are some weird dog facts that can surprise even the biggest dog lover.
但是呢，有一些 weird 就是 unusual 或者是 strange 一些古怪的、不寻常的一些 dog facts， 就是有关于狗的一些事实哈。那这个字，大家各位可以注意到，英文可以这样很简洁的就把它缩在一起，变成一个 dog facts 哈。所以有一些很奇怪的一些跟狗有关的事实呢，这些事实可以 surprise， 就是令某人感到很惊讶，所以这些事实可以让谁惊讶呢？让 the biggest dog lover， 让最爱狗的人、最痴迷的狗奴都会惊讶，因为最爱狗的人呢，他通常对狗会有相当的了解，所以这些事实会让这些就算非常爱狗的人也会觉得说，哦，怎么会是这样子啊？我原来不知道。
To begin with, every dog owner will claim that their pooch is entirely one of a kind. So we started our sentence to say begin with.To begin with. That means we're going to tell you the first thing that's weird. We've just said, here are some weird dog facts, and now we're going to tell you the first one. So you can say just first, but it's kind of a too straightforward a way to start your thing. So to begin with is a nicer, smoother way to say first, or our first thing is. So to begin with, here's the first thing. Every dog owner will say that their pooch is a cute word for dog. I don't like it. I think it sounds weird. I think it sounds too much like pouch, but some people like to call dogs pooches. Anyways, most owners think my dog is completely unique. There is nothing like my dog. My dog is the best. They are one of a kind.
Yeah. 好 to be one of a kind 就是表示独一无二的意思。好，那要注意那个中间的冠词是 one of a kind 哈。那这句话我们再回到前面来看，他说 to begin with 就是首先啊，我们要谈的事情。首先呢，我们可以知道呢 every dog owner 每一个狗的主人呢 will claim 他都会宣称啊 claim 就是他自己这样讲，到底是不是真的还要再验证啊，但他们自己都会讲说他们的 pooch 啊就是狗的意思啊，这只是一个比较 informal 的用法，他都会宣称他们的狗呢是 entirely 完完全全的就是独一无二哈，没什么好说的，就是独一无二，叫做 is entirely one of a kind.
What they may not realize, what the dog owners may not have thought of, is that their dog can be identified by a total stranger. And it's as plain as the nose on their face. Actually, it's actually the nose on their face. What is this sentence saying? The sentence is saying that while people think their dog is unique, it turns out their dog actually is unique and can be identified as such by somebody who doesn't even know the dog. And because their nose, it has to do with their nose. Now, as plain as the nose on their face is a phrase that we use to say that something is totally obvious. You cannot miss seeing the nose on somebody's face unless they're wearing a face mask. But even then, you can't miss if somebody has got a really big nose or a really small nose. So noses are very obvious. So if I'm like, it's as plain as the nose is on your face, I'm saying, dude, it's totally obvious.
OK， 好，所以这个句子呢，他一开始说 what they may not realize， 就是这些狗主人，他们觉得他们自己狗是独一无二的，但是他们可能不了解的是啊，那这个 what 就是 the thing which， 所以 the thing which they may not realize， 就他们可能不了解的事情是什么呢 ？is that 是他们的狗呢 can be identified， 可以被辨认出来 ，identify 就辨认的意思，所以他们的狗可以被辨认出来，被谁辨认出来呢？被 a total stranger， 一个完全的陌生人。都可以认出他们的狗，换句话说，他们的狗真的是独一无二的，因为他们可以辨认，就算你不认识这只狗，你只要跟他讲有这个资料，他一样可以认出你这只狗来啊。那可以辨认出来这样的一个事实呢 ，it's as plain as the nose on their face 啊，那这个是英文的一个 idiom， 它的意思就是 very clear 或者 very obvious 啊。例如这个你可以说the solution is as plain as the nose on your face 啊，这个解决办法很清楚啊，就是这样子啦 ，Yeah。Now,
why is our little sentence, it's actually the nose on their face? Why is that in parentheses? When we put something in parentheses like this, it can be an aside. An aside is kind of like you tell something in secret to just a group of people. Like maybe you're addressing something to a large group of people, and then you turn to the person on your left and just say one thing to them. That's an aside. And sometimes you do it literally so that other people won't hear you, and sometimes you do it for comedic effect, which is the point here. So you're like, it's as plain as the nose on their face. It's really obvious. Actually, it's actually the nose on their face that tells us.
这个地方这个括号呢，文法上面来讲，它只是给你一些附属的讯息，好，额外的讯息。但在这里呢，感觉好像我偷偷跟你讲，其实真的是哦，啊，是有这种感觉的 aside 哈 ，aside 好 aside 就是我们到旁边去讲啊，不要在这个地方讲那种感觉，好，所以这个地方我们用到这个 idiom 哈，它是 as plain as the nose on their face， 这个本来是一个 idiom， 但在这里呢，我跟你讲，其实事实上真的就是他们的鼻子啊，所以他这里告诉你说，这个不只是 idiom， 而是事实上真的就是他们的鼻子啊。It's actually the nose on their face.
As it turns out, each dog's nose print is as unique as a human's fingerprint. And it can be used to positively identify a dog in the same way. What does as it turns out mean? It means it turned out to be that way. As it turns out is such a common phrase, and turning out that way, like it turned out that, we just use turned out to mean this is what happened or this turns out to be the truth. I can't actually think of another way to say it. This is a really common phrase to use in English, so learn this phrase. As it turns out, or it turned out that, or as we found out, each dog's nose print is as unique as a human's fingerprint. Literally as unique as a human's fingerprint. No two dog noses are the same. And therefore, it can be used to positively identify a dog or criminals in the same way. Are dogs criminals? Can you identify criminal dogs with nose prints?
Well, I guess so.
I guess so. What does it mean to positively identify somebody? It means you can definitely say it's them. Or, as opposed to say it's definitely not somebody else. That's just identify or narrow something down. But to positively identify somebody is to be absolutely sure that is the one.
好，所以 to positively identify 这个 positively 在这里就是其实是一个强调语气，就是很肯定、很确定的啊。那可以很确定、很肯定的认出一只狗啊。那我们再回来看这个句子前面，他说 as it turns out， 这个是英文很常用的一个片语，它的意思就是原来啊，就经过一段查证之后，我们了解到，真的是这样子，原来是这样子。所以原来呢，这个狗它的每一只狗它的 nose print 就是它的鼻纹。好，我们讲指纹，人类有指纹，那狗呢它是有鼻纹。好，每一只狗的鼻纹 is as unique as 就是跟什么一样独一无二，跟什么一样独一无二呢？跟 a human's fingerprint 跟一个人类的指纹同样的是独一无二的。然后呢 it can be used 就是指狗那个鼻纹呢可以被用来positively identify a dog 可以用来很确定的辨认一只狗 in the same way 就跟人的指纹一样只要用你的指纹就可以辨认出来你是谁，那狗也是一样。
In some areas, a dog's nose print can be used to reunite it with its human family if that dog gets lost or separated from its owners. What do we mean by in some areas? We're meaning literally areas of the planet. In some places on this planet, there are systems in place where you can use a dog's nose print to find out who its owners are through a database. And then you can reunite it with its human family. To reunite someone means to bring them back into the group. Reunite, bring them back together. If that dog gets lost or separated.
好，所以 in some areas 就是 in some areas of the planet 就是在地球上有一些地区呢，一个狗它的 鼻纹 nose print 可以被用来 reunite 就是使重新团聚，好 unite 就是联合或者是聚在一起，那 reunite 就是可能散掉了，失散之后再重新团聚，所以可以用来让狗可以，这个 it 就指这只狗跟谁团聚呢？跟谁重新团聚呢？跟它的 human family 跟它的这个人类的家庭重新团聚。如果那只狗 gets 两件事情，第一个 gets lost 如果那狗迷路了，或者是 gets separated from its owners 或者是它跟它的主人分开了，好 separate 当然是分开的意思，所以 gets separated from 用 get 的感觉起来就是它不是故意跟主人分开的，而是这个有一点被动的感觉，它是被使得跟它的主人分开。
In some areas can mean like areas in terms of fields or work areas. So to be more clear that it is a geographical area, you can say in some places.
好，那 areas 其实它有很多可能的意思，它也可能是在某些领域、某些范围里面。所以如果你要很明确的说是地球上的某些地方的话，你这个地方可以讲 in some places， 那样子的话就很清楚了。
Now in China, if you lose your dog in China, the AI company MegV allows users to photograph their dog's noses, to just photograph their dog's noses and upload those pictures to an online database of nose prints, and then vets or veterinarians can check lost dogs' noses against a database of lost dogs. So they'll be like, if you lose your dog, the vets can be alerted that a dog with this nose is lost and check their lost dogs against this dog and maybe find your dog again, which would be cool.
好，那在中国呢，有一家 AI 的公司MegV， 它 allows users to photograph their dogs' noses， 他们允许他们的使用者呢photograph 在这里是动词，拍照的意思，拍他们的狗的鼻子的照片 photograph their dogs' noses， 然后呢 upload 就是上传 those pictures， 把那些照片上传到哪里去呢？传到一个 online database， 就是一个线上的一个资料库。好，那这个资料库是什么的资料库呢？ Database of nose prints， 就一个狗的鼻纹的资料库。那这个狗的鼻纹资料库呢，那就可以让 vets 就是兽医可以 check against， 这 against 在这里就是比对的意思，所以兽医就可以用这个鼻纹跟什么比对呢？跟 a database of lost dogs， 跟一个失散的狗、走失的狗的一个资料库来比对，所以这样的话你就可以对出来说，你的狗是不是在这资料库里面，那他们就可以找出来说这个狗是谁啊，怎么等等的。
Dogs and their habits have even helped humans in unexpected ways, in ways that we didn't think they would be helpful.
好，那 dogs and their habits 就是他们的习惯、习性。狗跟他们一些习惯呢，习性呢 have even 甚至于曾经 helped 帮助人类in unexpected ways。 unexpected 就是意想不到的，所以他们用一些意想不到的方法帮助过人类。
For example, the way dogs shake off water, the way they get water off their bodies, is an incredibly efficient way of removing water from their fur. If something is efficient, it means it's very effective in a short time.
好，所以 efficient 就是很有效率。好，所以例如举例来讲，这个狗the way dogs 狗它用什么样的方法来 shake off， 就是甩掉 water 水分。好，所以狗甩掉水的方法，英文就是这样讲 ：The way dogs shake off water。那要注意，这个 dogs 在这里没有加任何的冠词，因为它没有特别指哪些狗它是泛指狗。狗它们甩掉水的方法是怎么样？是一个 incredibly 是让你无法置信的 efficient way， 一个有效率到让你无法置信的方法那这个方法是要干嘛的呢？It's a way of removing， 就是移除。water from their fur， 从他们的皮毛上面把水移除的一个非常有效率的方法，而且你会无法置信这个方法多么的有效率Well, can we say it's an incredibly efficient way to remove water? 所以这个 efficient way 后面加 to 也是可以的那 to 感觉起来比较多的动作，好像你要去做这件事情。
But if you use to, do not use ing. I have been saying this to my students so much lately. If you use to, or you use do, no ing. There's very few things in English that you can 100% say is true, And that's one of them. However, you have to make sure it's an infinitive and not a preposition, because there's those prepositions that are also to, and they're not the infinitive to. And don't you love English?
Oh, I love it. 所以各位要记得，如果是这个 to 表示目的，它是个不定词的话呢，如果 to 是不定词，后面一定是原形动词。所以我们要讲 efficient way to remove water 那各位记得 to 大部分的时候它都是不定词，所以后面大多数的时候都是后面接原形动词。但是刚刚 Angie 老师有讲，有的时候 to 它是个介系词，这个时候它后面呢就会接动名词。例如说 look forward to， 这个是台湾最喜欢考的。look forward to 后面是要加一个 seeing 或者 hearing from you， 要加 ing， 因为 look forward to 这个 to 是介系词。好，所以呢这个地方我们就你可以讲it's an efficient way of removing water， 或者是 it's an efficient way to remove water 都可以。
Now, in long-haired breeds, that is to say breeds of dogs or types of dogs that have long hair, the shaking movement that the dog does can cause the hairs to accelerate nearly as fast as a whip cracking. And a whip cracking goes so fast that it creates a sound in the air. So that, is super fast. Now, here's the $100 question. Why did we say hairs and not hair? Doesn't your teacher tell you over and over again? At least this teacher, me, tells my students over and over again, please don't say hairs. Because hairs sounds like individual hairs lying on the floor, and it sounds gross. When you talk about somebody's hair, please talk about their hair, a collective. But here, we've just said hairs. So you're like, hey, didn't they just say hairs now? Why? And that's because we are, again, talking about individual hairs as opposed to hair as a group. And normally, 90% of the time, you're talking about hair as a group, unless you're talking about the hairs on a dog that are whipping around to lose water, or individual hairs on your floor.
好，所以各位要注意 hair 这个用法。hair 通常是我们没有办法数的因为你看它要是一头头发，那就是 hair， 这时候不可以数的。那 hair 可以数的时候呢，其实跟我们讲的原则一样，当你一个名词把它变成可数的时候呢，你就是把它 individuate， 你把它个别化，所以你看到的不是这个一头的头发，你看到是一根一根的头发那所以你坐在地上一根一根的头发，那个可以加 s。那或者像在这里呢，你可以看到那个狗在甩它的这个毛的时候，这个地方当然是指它的毛。你有时候因为它甩得很开，你可以看到那个毛那个好像是分开来那种感觉所以它可以加 s。好，所以在这个地方讲到说，在一些长毛的long haired， 就是一些长毛的 breeds。品种有一些长毛的狗的品种呢，这个甩头这个甩到水的这个动作呢，它可以 cause 使得 hairs 它的毛发 to accelerate 加速可以加速多快呢？快到 nearly as fast as 几乎跟什么一样快？跟一个 whip 就是鞭子 cracking 就是这个发出啪的那个声音那这个是甩鞭子甩出去的时候，那个速度快到它会这个产生音波，会有音爆的那种感觉，所以速度是非常快的。
So a dog can shake water off their body they can shake off up to 70% of the water on its body in just 4 seconds. That is an incredibly efficient thing. That's faster than you can towel down your hairless body.Yeah,
所以呢，一只狗它可以 shake off， 它可以甩掉高达 70% 的水 on its body， 它身上 70% 的水，只不过用4秒钟的时间，它用4秒钟就可以甩掉它身上 70% 的水，所以非常有效率。
Also, if you're standing next to the dog, you will absorb 70% of the water.
Yeah.
Anyways, this method is so effective. It's so useful that it has been studied by washing machine manufacturers to conceive or think of better ways to dry clothes. Although, I don't know how you're going to shake clothes that fast in a machine, but it's a thought.
Yeah, 好，所以这个方法非常的有效，有效到什么程度呢？ It has been studied， 被研究。谁研究它呢？一些这个 washing machine， 这个洗衣机的这个 manufacturers 制造商来研究，他们希望能够看看狗怎么甩的，他们能够 conceive 就是 think of， 想出一些 better ways 比较好的方法来让衣服干掉。
Now, the most interesting feature of dogs, and the reason why we keep them around, is probably how much they love us.
所以这个最有趣的狗的一个特色，大概就是他们是如何的爱我们。狗是非常爱它的主人的。
Now, there's science behind that, too, behind why they love us so much, but it might be better to leave it a wonderful mystery, to leave it as one of those things you can just wonder about.
leave 就是让某件事情继续处于什么状态。所以呢，这个狗很爱人，这个背后也有科学的，但是呢，也许比较好的就是我们让这件事情继续保留在一个 wonderful mystery 的状态，一个很棒的这个很神秘的事情的状态。
Now, we have some questions for you about the article. Number one is, where would this passage most likely be found?
本文最可能在哪里被发现呢？
The answer is D, in a column about household pets. What's a column? A column is a regularly appearing newspaper article by the same author who writes about the same things each time.
column 就是专栏，所以这个正确答案就是 D， 在一篇关于家庭宠物的专栏当中。
Number two, what does as plain as the nose on their face in the second paragraph most likely mean?
好，第二段的片语 as plain as the nose on their face 最可能的意思是什么呢？
A, obvious.
答案是 A， 明显的。
Number three, how is an AI company in China related to dogs' nose prints?
中国的人工智慧公司和狗狗鼻纹的关系是什么呢？
The answer is B. It, meaning the company, has made a database of nose prints to track lost dogs.
它创造了一个能够追踪走失狗狗的鼻纹资料库，答案是 B。
And number four, why are washing machines mentioned in the passage?
本文为什么提到洗衣机呢？
The answer is D. Improvements of washing machines are linked to how dogs shake off water.
答案是 D， 洗衣机的改良跟狗狗如何甩水有关。
And that's all we have for you today on the weird science of dogs, but please join us again next time for more